Maybe. Come on.
We're on.
Video. Yeah, the video never started. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with I don't know what's going on with that. So, you know what? We'll kick off. We'll just say Sales Logic, welcome. Ready to rock and roll on Saturday morning. That was the second blip of the morning. It is going to be an interesting show. But Mark, we probably got some good things happening today, right?
We do. We're going to be talking about how to drive customer retention. We've got an excellent book that everyone needs to take a look at and a lightning round. Hey, top 10 ways to fill a dry pipeline. So let's get the show going, shall we?
All right, welcome back to Sales Logic. Saturday morning, 8 a.m. is Eastern, one of my favorite times of the week. It is time to talk about one of the most important things we do in our business, and that is sales. Mark, what are we focused on today?
Okay, we are talking about how to drive customer retention. You know, you stop and think about it. We spend all this time in sales going out and getting new customers, and we all complain about prospecting. Well, at least a lot of people do. But hey, here's the deal. What about the business you've already got with your current customers? Retention strategies, one of the easiest ways to grow your business. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, I think the statistics are pretty incredible around customer retention. And Mark, I don't know about you, but when I was coming up in sales, we were always so focused on brand new business. I mean, so focused on bringing in the business that most of our customers didn't have more than one or two products, and they pretty much went out the back door. I also think in today's marketplace, no matter what you do as a salesperson, no matter how amazing you are, this is a word of mouth business. So I think that customer retention is probably more important than it's ever been.
Well, I think it is because just as you said, it's word of mouth. Customer retention also leads to a lot more referrals because if you've got a customer that is embracing you, working with you, you're helping them and the relationship's getting deeper and deeper, they're probably going to be the one who's going to refer you to other potential new customers. So you talk about a double win in terms of building your business. It's customer retention. But we don't give it enough effort. Why? Because we're just, like you said, we're raised to go hunt. Hey, protect what you got.
Yeah, I think a good place to start is when you build your prospect list, and I hope our listeners today have a prospect list, that you make at least a third of it existing customers. You know, I was getting ready for this show today, and I thought I'm not doing enough to focus on my existing customers, people that I have done business before, and it's some of the most low-hanging fruit. You just pop back in there, and there's real opportunity to do business with people you've already done business with.
And so many times you can do additional business because they're connected to somebody else in the company, in the organization. There may be another division, but here's what happens. You wind up creating an ecosystem around your company. I'm going to use Apple as the example. You know, we all began Apple maybe with an Apple computer many years ago before some people were born, or then it was maybe an iPod or something like that, then the iPhone, and then there's such an Apple world that once you're now in the Apple world with 3 or 4 devices, you can't get out, you can't escape. In other words, you're part of their ecosystem. That is customer retention. What does that do? It creates loyal customers.
Yeah, I think another strategy you need to put into place for customer retention is just to, of that third that you're putting on your prospect list, just mark your CRM to check in with them quarterly. And it's one of the easiest sales calls you'll ever make. Hey, just reaching out, wanted to see, how things are going with you, everything good with the products and services, just a little bit of check-in. And from that conversation, you can see what's moving and changing and shifting with them.
And one of the ways you can do that is by really taking a look at who their customers are. Spend a couple minutes, begin understanding who their customers are, because now when you check in with them, you can bring them insights regarding their customers. And this is why it's so important that we have customers within a similar industry. we really stay in a lane, because as you gain knowledge for one customer, it's probably going to be beneficial for a customer for another one of your customers. And what does this mean? This means you become more and more of a key expert, a key person that they want to have around. And this is how you create retention, because now you're becoming one of those people that they can't live without, not only because of your product and services, but because of the knowledge that you bring them.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to understand that are your top customers, those customers that you want to retain or that you have more opportunity, they're the prospects of your competitors. So they're, as diligent as you are of looking for new business, that's how diligent they are on your top customers. So you've got to pay attention to them, and you have to be actively working on them and seeing and figuring out what is different in their business. I mean, think about the world we live in today. Think about how much has changed since January of this year. What do you think the chances are that, your customers are going to be dealing with something different? Everybody's talking about the fact that we'll probably get an interest rate cut here very soon. Maybe it won't be until September, but my point is everybody's gearing up for it. So their mindset is shifting. Things are shifting. Their thought about business is shifting. You need to do a check-in with them.
Well, that's so many things, because again, on the other side, you got all these tariffs, and are they coming? Are they going? What's the level, and all the impact it has on the supply chain. This is a great time to bring up the question that we received from Mike in San Diego. He says, I'm a CRO of a large DME company, and we have been experiencing strong growth, organic and through acquisitions. And experiencing all that comes with that disorganization, constant shifts in strategy and structure. And I'm worried we've lost our focus on keeping customers. We have no problems getting new customers, but I'm really worried about our retention rate. How do I get my team to focus on both? And should I? Hey, he says he loves the show, and he has his entire team listening to it. It's interesting. I threw that question into the brain, the sales logic brain, and it came back with a couple of pieces. One, it says you do need to be setting goals that balance acquisition and retention. You have to have goals for your sales team. But it also came out with a piece, retention programs. What are the retention programs that you're putting in place for your sales team and the customer to retain volume? Because remember, more volume should create some sort of efficiency. How do you share that efficiency with your customers?
Yeah, I would say that, first of all, absolutely you need to focus on retention. And I think this is such a good question because you're right in the middle of a mergers, acquisitions. You are going to blow this because it is always messy. You can try to plan it like crazy, but mergers, acquisitions, a lot of organic growth, it's always messy. First of all, I think you really need to sit down and figure out which customers you have got to hold on to. I mean, really figure out what is that 80-20 for you? What are those 20% of those customers you cannot lose? And then really get in there and have your salespeople focus on them.
Well, and those 20% of the customers, they're probably going to give you a lot of referrals too, because that's what Bill King is talking about. Hey, have your team focus on customer retention because it's going to create referrals. You bet, Bill, you're spot on. You're going to kill two birds with one stone. Excellent.
Look at this comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Christine Cody, what a brilliant comment. Retention should be forecasted in a pipeline, just like new deals. I love that. Put it in there and track it just like new deals. Now, the thing is, when you go through mergers and acquisitions, there may be some customers you want to lose. So go back and redefine that ideal customer profile, because one of the challenges with mergers and acquisitions is, if Mark acquired my company, my ideal customer profile may not be his ideal customer profile. And so you've got to look through my, depth of customers and figure out who is the right fit for his business and then focus the retention strategy there.
That brings up something very interesting right now in this economic period that we're in, because we were talking about interest rates changing. They're probably going to come down here soon. And we got all these tariffs and all these various issues. They really means there's a lot of business in play. There's a lot of your existing customers. They've got questions. Okay, so you better be the one there to answer them. You better be the one there to help them, because otherwise, guess what? They're going to wind up fleeing to a competitor. And the same token, you've got other customers that you don't have yet that are dealing with your competitors that, guess what? They're probably saying the same thing. So you could be attracting them. This is where it comes back to that, the whole thing. You've got to have dual goals, balancing acquisition and retention, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think it's also really important to think about, what is your strategy around that customer? I mean, treat it is it just to retain them? Is it to find more opportunities to sell them? I mean, I don't know exactly, everything your DME, business offers, but I would think there would be a lot of opportunity to deliver other products and services. It may be just to find out what other products and services would be good for your company to develop. But put your sales team out there, partly to find new business, partly to hold on to existing business, but to deepen that business and to drive the profitability. I mean, the importance of retaining customers is honestly profitability, because you have done all the expensive hard work. You've done the heavy lift. You've gotten through the door. You've made the contact. You've gotten to the decision maker. You've gotten them to say, we trust you. And as I always say, the worst thing that can happen to you with a customer, the absolute worst, is not that you don't get a sale. It's that your customer finds out about a product or service they need from somebody else other than you. Because if that happens, breaks trust.
Boy, that sure does. Christine comes in with a great comment again here. If you can spot the risk early, you can unlock more levers. This is so true. This is why it is so important to be fishing in the same pond continuously, because again, you really understand the pond. You know that lane, you know that business. And it allows you, as Christine continues to say, it allows you to reset the value narrative. This is so key. And what is this going to do? This is going to put you in deeper. If part of your retention strategy is not built around how do I either increase the level of products or services I'm offering, or selling you more of what I'm already selling you, something's wrong. That's got to be a measurement within every business that you have.
Yeah, I love what Bobby is saying here. It says, for a lot of annual subscriptions, retention is hugely impacted in the first 30 days. Otherwise, you've lost them. Bobby, I think this is so true in subscriptions, but I also think it's really true in any kind of business. I mean, another strategy you really need to look at is your onboarding strategy. What are you doing to make sure that customers get everything they need within the first 30 days? And the fact that you're easy to do business with in the first 30 days, especially if you've done a small offer to get them through the door and you think there's more potential there. That first 30 days experience better be incredible, or you've just opened the door for your competition.
Can't stress that enough. Your onboarding, your activation process, 30 days. And I think in a lot of businesses, it's not even 30 days. It might even be as short as 10 or 15 days. You've got to get there, because again, if you don't create a high level of customer satisfaction early on, because think about it, customer buys from you. That means they had a reason. They feel you're going to be successful with them. You're going to help them. And no time is better than right then to exceed those expectations. That's what onboarding and activation is all about. And what does that do? That automatically begins opening the door. I love to say that the only good sale is the one that leads to the next sale. That's how you get that, because you are activating that customer very, very quickly. I love this conversation. We're getting some great comments in here. And I love it because it's all about how do we get more business from existing customers. Now stop and think about this, because here's the other question. I wonder how many salespeople really understand what is their cost of customer acquisition. Sales managers don't even. I love asking CEOs that. They don't even know that. They don't even know how expensive it is to acquire a new customer. Why don't you focus on keeping what you got?
Yeah. But keeping what you've got, if it's the right customer to keep, I really cannot emphasize that enough, that it's because if you looked at any of our customer, portfolios, we have customers in there we should not have in there, customers that are difficult to make happy, customers that beat us up on price. And you've got to go back to that ideal customer profile and focus on the ones that are right for you. Mark, I'm curious, and I'm curious what the audience thinks. What do you think about loyalty programs?
I think loyalty programs are great. Excuse me. I think we both have airline loyalty programs. Now, what's
Yes.
funny is we may not like the airline, but we stick with them because of the loyalty program, because of something else. We have hotel loyalty programs. There are so many loyalty programs out there that we don't, and loyalty programs aren't just necessarily rewarding. The loyalty program may be the app of the convenience. I admit I have a Starbucks app. I know, Mayor, you don't go to Starbucks because it's too expensive, but I have a Starbucks app and I love it because it makes it so easy for me to spend money at Starbucks, too much money. So loyalty programs, I think, are absolutely essential. You've got to create them. And loyalty programs may be nothing more than the quarterly business review. The quarterly business review that you sit down, you share with your customer insights regarding the industry, what's happening out there. It may be as simple as that.
Yeah, Mark, you bring up such a great point. Two things I want to talk about there is, number one, when you talk about Starbucks, when we talk about the ideal customer profile. Now, I'll buy a cup of Starbucks now and then. I'll be in an airport, I'll be in a hotel, and need a cup. But you should not try to retain me as a customer for Starbucks, because ever given the chance to get a cup of coffee at McDonald's for $1.25, I'll go to McDonald's and get it for $1.25. Mark is your ideal customer profile. He will always go to Starbucks. So that's really important. The second thing I want to talk about is the fact that if you can, this whole idea of ease of business to do, business with you. I was working in the office yesterday and I was back to back all day long. I had coaching clients and sales calls from the time I came in from the tennis court at 7:30 all the way until I was leaving the office that night. And I had like a 15-minute window. So I called this little restaurant. I did a little order online to just order a salad that I could eat at my desk. I had 15 minutes to go down there and pick it up. And when I did that, because I ordered there on occasion, they had a loyalty program. They'd give me $2 off on any sandwich I wanted. So I bought Rob a sandwich while I was there. And I thought to myself, how smart is that? They just got me to spend another $7 when they were going to have to go through, put it in the same bag, the same utensils. It was smart, and I wouldn't have spent the money. So I think loyalty programs, or customer retention, we don't always just need to think of it as holding on, but I want you to think about, like Mark said, that cost of goods sold. You have already invested, you built the foundation. So anything that you can build on top of that, like I just went back through, because we were doing this show, I went back through the last 5 years of every customer of everybody I've spoken for. And I pulled out of all of those, I pulled out basically a top 40 that I really think I should go back and I should look for opportunity to speak to them again. Now, the others I pulled out for referrals to my friends, my mastermind, because those are places I forgot to refer somebody into, and there's potential there. But it really prompted me to say, I need to be more intentional about this. And I think what I need to do, which I'm not, is Christine's suggestion. This needs to become part of my pipeline measurement.
Oh, there is so much value there in what you're saying. I love what Bobby's saying. For a lot of annual subscriptions, retention is hugely impacted in the first 30 days. That's exactly what we've been talking about here. And that's so key. See, here's the whole situation. You have to stop and ask yourself, what is my long-term strategy? In other words, what is the value potential that this customer can bring me? And value potential can be expressed three ways. One, value potential in terms of referrals, value retention in terms of additional business from new products and services that you're going to bring the customer, or value in terms of just more of what you've already been selling them. But each one of those, you've got to ask yourself the question, what's the potential and where do I focus?
Yeah, I love what Natalie's saying here. Relationships are so key for retention. Engage at a personal level and understand we're in a time of constant change. There's always going to be opportunity. And Bryn chimes in here with 5 things we want from existing customers: retention, referrals, expanded business internally, case studies, and intros into their other opportunities, business lines, customers. Mike Black, type the cost to bring on a new customer for that same sandwich is probably higher than $2. You are exactly right. It was such a smart deal, and it was so easy for me to do. Mark, we are burning time here. We should probably get to the book.
I do have to say, you had the healthy salad and you gave your husband the carbs, so that's good.
Well, no, let me just say, I was sitting on my hiney with customers. He had been working 5 hours in the backyard. He deserved a sandwich and a few carbs. It was still a healthy sandwich, but he deserved the carbs. And then we played golf. Then we went dancing. So he burned his carbs off.
That's good. Taking care of the hired help so you can have entertainment in the evening. That's great. That's okay. Right. Hey, the book we've got, Stu Heinecke, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone. I'll tell you what, this is gold.
It is gold.
His strategy for customer acquisition and getting meetings with people who you never would have thought, absolutely unbelievable. Excellent book. Highly recommend you pick it up. Okay, are you ready for the lightning round?
I am.
Ready for the lightning round. Top 10 ways to fill a dry pipeline. That sounds dark.
It is dark. But we've all been there. We've all had the dry pipeline.
Yes.
And why I am not an advocate of the dry pipeline, let's just promise we're never going to have one again. But the best way to fill a dry pipeline, well, didn't you know? Let's go back to your existing customers, right? Look to your existing customers and find opportunity in there.
And 2, have a follow-up strategy, a continuous follow-up strategy with all of your old customers. In other words, one call may not make it. You may have to dig in there a few times, but you're going to get them back online.
Yeah, I would say number 3, be humble. Go out to your best customers, those people who love you, who are in your corner, and just admit the fact, fall on the sword. I really need some sales this month. Who do you know? Who can you connect me to? Or better yet, take some leads to them and see who knows who. I mean, use Bryn Tillman's strategy of looking at your LinkedIn, who's connected to whom, and shorten that sales cycle.
You just had about 5 or 6 ideas in there, but that's absolutely terrific. But because the whole thing is the referral strategy. You want to fill a dry pipeline. Can't emphasize enough. Referrals.
Yeah. Create a quick offer. Do something that makes it something that people would want, and create it with some urgency. Like if you buy it right now, you'll get it for, 30% off its regular price, but it's only going until the end of the month.
And when you do that, don't discount your price so low that you create a different value proposition for the customer. Because again, the price you sell to the customer initially will be where they base their value perception. So be careful in that initial offer. Make sure you're delivering value at a margin you can maintain ongoing.
Yeah. If you've got to fix a dry pipeline fast, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. Let go of email, let go of social networking, but go back to the telephone.
Ask yourself how you're using your time, because many times you have a dry pipeline because you haven't been spending time developing customers, because you've been spending time doing everything else. If you are just even keel with how you prospect, how you develop customers, how you stay in contact with customers, you won't have those high mountaintops, and more importantly, you won't have those low valleys. You share one more, I'll share one more, we'll close it out.
Yeah, if you want to fix a dry pipeline fast, just make the time every single day to make the sales calls. Just first of all, take a breath and relax. This is not the end of the world, but you need to set a goal on how much you want to have in your pipeline every single month, and then commit the time every day to make the calls until the pipeline hits that number. Then never let it come off that number again.
And that speaks highly, because I'll tell you what, it comes down to your mindset. Your mindset is going to drive your ability to fill the pipeline. If you've got a negative mindset, you know what? It's going to stay dry. It is amazing when you put your head in the right place. Hey, we've had a great show today. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you $1, consider telling a friend about our show, because it's how we grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meredith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
all of this uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
I got a comment here on Mike's comment. about picking up the phone. So many people talk about cold calling being dead. It is not dead. It's one of the many strategies. So Mark, you and I are going to be together next week. We'll be doing this show live from the National Speakers Association. And then on Monday, we'll be welcoming none other than the famous Sam Richter for the Sales Logic Expert Exchange. If you have questions about how to turn your suspects into prospects, if you have questions around artificial intelligence, if you have questions around anything with sales, Sam Richter is the master, and it's going to be a powerful program you do not want to miss. Register now, 4 p.m. Eastern, and join us right back here, 8 a.m. Eastern, for another episode of Sales Logic. Until then,
and to register, jump out to saleslogicpodcast.com. You'll see it right there.
You can find everything at saleslogicpodcast.com. We'll see you right back here next week for another episode, 8 a.m. Eastern. Thanks again to our audience. You guys you make this show so much better than Mark and I can make it. I learned something from your comments every single week. So join us right back here, 8 a.m. Eastern.